I can't be the best when you're the best, Nancy. Nancy, I know this is a weird time to ask, but will you marry me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Absolutely.
Well, that went better than I thought.
I'll be the first.
All right, we're officially live, so you should be able to share.
I'm gonna ask you a question like
And-
that right now.
And then we want to shout out to any guests who might be joining us. We have a really great show today. We have the civil rights attorney, and may I say, a bit of a civil rights gangster. Nekima Levy Armstrong is with us, and really excited to hear about her. You might know her from, I don't know, the Amir Locke press conference and many other things that she's done. So we're really excited to have her. So please let people know that, share and comment below the show. We'd love to hear from you. You can ask questions. We'll put them on screen, and we'll be starting very shortly.
Okay. Yeah, I know quite a few people who I think will be awesome. I'll send you a list.
Mic is on. Check 1, 2.
Yep, just one more second, and I got you.
Yeah, I need your help though. Seriously. I
Yes.
want to do what you're saying.
Just give me one day where you feel like, okay, I can breathe a little today. Because all I need is map it out, give you the whatever we're going to do. Then once every 2 weeks, film your curriculum. Then I'll build the rest of the curriculum, put some American history.
All right, Nancy, the show is all
Stuff like
yours.
that. You could accumulate a whole million in a year. Seriously. It's
That's what I prayed for. I'm like, Lord, I'm ready. I don't want
Nancy, the show is all yours whenever you're ready.
Yes! Okay, let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Black Business Enterprises podcast. I am so excited. Look, my mic is shaking. I'm so excited, y'all. I don't have just any guest, y'all. I have the Nekima Levy Armstrong here with me, and I'm gonna freak out, y'all. I fangirl her every time I see her for good reasons. Nekima, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you for having me. I'm just so excited to be here.
Are you kidding me? This woman is busier than the president of the United States, okay? The previous one. Sorry, I had to get a little petty. But, and this one too sometimes. I'm just saying I'm not... let's keep it there. Guys, Nekima's here. And she's doing so many amazing things. And while we're here, I'm going to shout you guys out. And then we'll get to this amazing human here with me. Kiana Compton, thank you so much for being here. Leilani, thank you and welcome. Miss Renita, Beauty is her name. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, go support her. Slate Beauty. She's amazing. She has her own hair product. Guys, thank you so much. Charmaine Mack, welcome. Nekima, I've got to tell you, you have done some seriously amazing things throughout the year. But this year in particular, something that blew my mind and threw me off my couch. So on top of being a full-time mom, civil rights attorney, a consultant, a keynote speaker, a badass legend, you set people straight right on TV. I was minding my business, y'all, eating my cereal at home, watching TV with my mom, and there was a press conference for yet another senseless murder. And okay, I'm watching our mayor. He's talking, talking. And unfortunately, there's some untruths, and you stopped him dead in his tracks. Gabe, if you want to prepare to put that up, I'm gonna. How are you doing, first of all, and what prompted that reaction, which was amazing, by the way.
Thank you, Nancy. Well, I would say overall, I'm doing fine, especially in light of everything that's happened here in the Twin Cities in the state of Minnesota. and across the nation when it comes to racial justice. And the reason I'm doing fine is because I have an amazing group of family, friends, loved ones, other activists and organizers who help keep me grounded, who pray for me, and who urge me forward. But the day that you're referencing, I think it was the first week of February of 2022. I was minding my own business, believe it or not. And I had actually been on a call with other activists and organizers, and we were talking about the tragic, horrific killing of Amir Locke by the Minneapolis Police Department, just senseless from my perspective. And we were talking about what our next steps were going to be. And so we had made a decision to hold a press conference at City Hall at 5 o'clock on the day in question.
Yeah.
And so we showed up to City Hall and we held our press conference. We also found out the city was going to be releasing body camera footage. And so we said, well, let's stay here after our press conference and watch the footage together. And that's what we did.
So you just watched it that same day?
I had just watched it like everyone else when it was released at that time. And after I watched it, I was just outraged even more and devastated to see the police. It just seemed like a horror movie, right? Like Get Out Part 2 or something. To see the police, the SWAT team, entering an apartment in downtown Minneapolis with a key fob and going through the apartment with high-powered weapons. There could have been kids there. And seeing them approach someone wrapped up in a blanket, lying down on the couch. That person was asleep, and they actually kicked the couch to wake him up. And that person was Amir Locke, who happened to have his firearm present, was not a threat from my perspective.
He was in his own home. He can have anything in his hands.
And he was asleep. They woke him up and literally killed him within 2 seconds of waking him up. And so when I was so hurt when I saw that footage, just outraged as a mom, traumatized on some level. And after seeing the footage multiple times during that window of time, other activists said there's a press conference happening down the hall. The mayor has a press conference, and they said we're going to go. And so I just said okay. So we went to the press conference and we sat in the back. So we were back there just quietly listening. And as I'm listening, just my spirit became unsettled by what I was hearing. And so I got up and I just said, well, let me document, this question and answer portion of this press conference. So that's what I did. I stood against the wall with my phone and I started recording what they were saying. And I got to the point as I'm hearing more and more that did not make sense. I just said, I need to move forward and say something. And I didn't know what I was going to say. I'm a woman of faith. The Spirit just compelled me. And as I started walking, I had to actually go through two men. One who had started asking a question as I started walking, and then another who said, stop right there, who was, I don't know if he was a cop or what, but he had a giant gun, and he told me to stop. So I had to tell the first person, I have something to say so they could stop asking their question. And then I told the security guy, like, I'm not a threat.
Rocks.
And then I went up there. And I just said what needed to be said from the perspective of a Black mother and thinking about Amir Locke as a young Black man whose life was snuffed out before he even had a chance to carve out his future. And all because we have a police force that too often shoots first and asks questions later.
Now, we do have a footage of you that day. Like I said, I've watched it multiple times because you are a voice for the voiceless, and there's a lot of us that talk a lot. We talk a big game, this is what I would have done. But in that moment, you not only rose to occasion, but you stood and said your piece. Gabe, let's go ahead and roll the footage. And guys, what you're about to see is the press conference that they held back in February, and this is what she had to say.
They will be carefully examining all of those factors, and I'm absolutely positive they will take a look at that.
So it wasn't long after Chief Huffman gave that answer that civil rights attorney Nekima Levy Armstrong passionately interrupted the press conference. She is part of a new city commission to improve public safety and said that both Fry and Huffman's response to the shooting is not what voters want.
What they were expecting is a new beginning. That's why they gave you more power and authority. So that is what we want to see as the residents of Minneapolis. We don't want to see cover-ups. We don't want to see whitewashing. People are asking very simple questions that have still not been answered. Amelia, you're saying you want to be the chief? Then act like it.
And this morning, Nekima Levy Armstrong's organization called for the chief to step down.
Before we move on, I gotta tell you what's coming from the audience. Nekima, you rock. This is amazing. We need more black women like her. As I said, you are inspiring a whole new generation of people who think not that it's okay to stand back and just let things happen, but to show that when you speak, people will listen. And to show that it's okay to stand up.
Absolutely.
It's okay to stand up. In this case, you stood up and you spoke. Oh, look at all that love. I wish you could see this. There's so much. When you spoke, I got chills because I don't know that I would have reacted that same way. I would have been too scared. And we're so used to being fed lies, and we think that they just have the authority. So what she did there was take that authority and say, I got something to say. And they were very quiet. They were very quiet, and they listened to every single word. What was the aftermath like, if there was any? I mean, I was just thinking, oh gosh, what's gonna happen to my Nekima? What's happening? That was my first reaction, to be honest, because they don't like for people to tell them about themselves.
Right.
And even though to your face they'll show like, oh, it's okay, you said it, we listened. Was there anything after that happened that maybe made you feel disrespected or maybe not heard?
Well, I think in that moment, I did what I needed to do. And I would do it all over again if faced with the same choice. I think we get to the point where we can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. And if we're sitting on the sidelines expecting someone else to address these issues, we become part of the problem. Society has always used money and status and power as a way of silencing those who experience oppression. And most of us get in line and we subscribe to what society says is the way that we're supposed to react, even in the face of blatant lies, cover-ups, misinformation. And I just got to the point where my spirit couldn't tolerate it. So I had to do something, and I did not care about the consequences. Even if that man who told me to stop, who was security or a cop or whatever, had tackled me, like I did what I needed to do.
I think you didn't stand a chance. But I've got to say, there's something you said earlier that was very powerful. You said you have other civil rights activists and peers that prayed over you. This must be so mentally taxing. I remember when George Floyd happened, it changed my whole perspective in life. I just wanted to live more. I just wanted to do everything more. And killings have not stopped.
Right.
And our mental health is suffering. So how do you, when you're really in the center, or right there on the sideline fighting, how do you cope during these times? Because they don't seem to end. And not just that, it's also the aftermath, the trials and the verdicts. And it seems like we can't get justice. Yeah, of course, I won't even say his name, but the cop that killed George Floyd, sure, he was convicted. But then we're talking about the other woman, I won't say her name either, who got 2 years.
Right.
It's mentally draining, it's painful, and it's tiring. How do you cope?
Well, I would say one of the first things I do, to be honest with you, is to celebrate the victories, right? Seeing Chauvin be found guilty in a court of law.
I forgot his name. I was like,
Derek
I'm not
Chauvin.
going to even think about that man ever again.
And seeing him be found guilty after all of that, and knowing that it was the power of the people standing up, demanding justice, millions of people taking to the streets, tens of thousands of people here in Minnesota, and then advocating to the governor to take the case out of the hands of the county attorney and to put it in the hands of the attorney general with more resources and I think a more sophisticated legal approach. led to that conviction. Not to mention all of the work that had been done before by people on the ground making the sacrifices to stand up, to fight, to shut down freeways, facing arrest, rubber bullets, tear gas for many, many years before the killing of George Floyd and before Derek Chauvin faced trial. So all of that came to a head in that moment when we heard the jury say guilty, guilty, guilty. Words that many people didn't even expect to hear. So I celebrate those kinds of victories because I know that it was a battle. It didn't just happen because we saw a man lynched on video. There were a lot of factors that went into the conviction ultimately happening. And even with Kim Potter, that I think 2 years was not enough. I'm very disappointed that the Attorney General played a role in Kim Potter receiving a lower sentence for the killing of Daunte Wright. But the fact that someone
with a smirk on her face.
Exactly. But the fact that she looked like a soccer mom. Minnesota's 84% white. So this woman looked like so many prototypical Minnesota women. And for a nearly all-white jury to look at her and see someone who should be held accountable and to make the decision to hold her accountable, that is something that should be celebrated. And so that is just my mindset around these things, is one way that I'm able to stay hopeful and be persistent, because we look at the cases where there wasn't a conviction, even going back to Emmett Till, young black man, a child, 14 years old, killed in Money, Mississippi by white vigilantes, tried before an all-white jury. Those jurors found the killers not guilty after mutilating and maiming a young black boy. We still remember that. Rosa Parks remembered that when she refused to give up her seat on December 1st, 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama. And then as someone who grew up in LA, I think about the beating of Rodney King by the Los Angeles Police Department and how those officers were not held accountable in the criminal case, and what that did to residents of Los Angeles and around the nation, seeing a man mercilessly beaten on camera and there being no accountability. We remember those moments.
I mean, it
right?
sticks with you forever.
It sticks with
and
you
it creates
forever.
that distrust and that animosity where you look at them and you just can't feel like they care for you as a human being.
Exactly.
And those are facts. And you know, I had a question come in my email yesterday because they were so excited that you were coming, and just being a civil rights attorney, that whole journey, I read about your story, growing up in Mississippi. It's just such a brave thing to take on, because you could have just been an attorney. Why civil rights, which is probably one of the toughest things that you could do, because there are so many battles, and yes, there's some wins, but we've experienced so many losses. And thanks to people like you, there are those wins. Why did you choose this path?
I honestly think the path chose me.
It didn't even give you a choice.
No, that's since I was a kid. You know, I've been passionate about these issues, and when I was 9, I declared I wanted to become a lawyer. You know, after looking around and seeing the issues that were impacting black and brown people in my community in LA, you know, and I didn't know any lawyers. No one in my family had a 4-year college degree, but in my mind, in my spirit, I knew I needed to become a lawyer, you know, and as I got into it, I knew I needed to become a civil rights lawyer. So I just feel it was my destiny. And I think it took me just making a decision. Either I'm going to conform to society's expectations, or I'm going to follow my heart, follow what the Spirit of God is telling me to do, follow the will of the people and our needs, and stand up and be bold. And that's what I've decided to do. And when you get to that place in your spirit, it's like you just say, hey, let the chips fall where they may.
You can't really say no to that
force. You're strategic. You're not just doing any and everything. You're strategic, and you understand there's calculated risks involved, but the reward is far greater, right? We look back at history, and we can identify, even in the midst of the trauma, the turmoil, the brutality, the oppression, the unjust laws and policies on the books, we look at those people who stood up in the face of adversity and oppression, who rose above it, and no matter what they faced, they took a stand. And they provide an example to us of who we can become, knowing what we're up against.
You're absolutely right. And we have so many high-profile cases, but we should never forget of those other cases that never get any light shine on them. I know a woman actually that used to be a BBE member who, in her 40s, late 40s, who was brutalized, beaten in front of her children, and she has it on her record forever, and she didn't even do anything.
That's horrible.
And of course, she has no voice,
right?
And nobody knows her story, and can't really get a proper job, and is just struggling. So there are so many stories. So all I have to say is thank you for shining light where there needs to be. And also I have to shout out Georgia Fort for also shining light where there needs to be. And I gotta say hello to some of our audience members. Destiny Hodges, thank you so much for being here. Miss Mani B. And also, I definitely want to shout out Davier Wright. You're doing amazing. Claude by Davier, check her out. Kayana, thank you again for sticking with us. So, shifting gears a little bit. Speaking of following your heart, I do know that you run a consulting firm, blackpearlmn.com. Go check it out, guys. I'm on that website like once a week because I want to know everything that she can do and what I can tap into. What made you want to start Black Pearl?
So I've always had a passion for helping people and being strategic. And so I made the decision when I left my position as a law professor at St. Thomas that I was going to hang out my own shingle. I was going to run for mayor of Minneapolis. And regardless of whether I won the election or not, I was going to stay outside of academia to be in community with the people and to support and help however I could. I just get a lot of joy out of seeing people's dreams come true, see the light bulbs go off, to see new possibilities open in front of them. And that's what consulting allows me to do. And so I've seen so much progress amongst some of the people that I've been fortunate enough to work with. I also like being a Black woman in that space. I don't think there's enough Black people, let alone Black women, who are in the position to be able to give advice that can become life-changing for someone.
I absolutely agree. And we do need that. Like I said, this whole generation needs that. And Destiny says we do appreciate you. Hey, Lilandra, thanks for joining us. So your current nonprofit that you're leading, Wayfinder, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes.
And the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. So I'm the executive director and CEO of the Wayfinder Foundation, and it's a nonprofit that is focused on Black and brown women activists and organizers in key cities around the country. We hone in specifically on education justice and criminal justice, and we support women who do a variety of projects, from bail reform to education advocacy, to working directly with youth, to trying to push for change within systems. We provide financial and technical support, leadership development support, gatherings around the country.
I didn't know this. This is amazing.
It's a whole other side of my life that fits in so well with my work as an activist and an organizer.
Too much. Because that's what change is made, where we're talking about law, bills that are passed. When we don't have a voice in there, or we don't try, that's where we fail. So you're saying if there's, I just have a young woman that I just met, and she said, I want more women in politics, and she's only 21. So could Wayfinder be someone that can help her reach that goal and help hone into her skills? Wow.
Yeah, we have a fellowship program, and so here in Minnesota, we have 8 current Wayfinder Fellows, and we have women who are designated as Women of Promise, who we have made strategic investments into their work. We have Los Angeles Fellows as well, and then we'll be moving to our 3rd and then 4th city before the end of this year. And then we have fellows from a variety of cities who were previously a part of the program.
Wow. So Destiny says more women in politics and technology. Say it louder.
Absolutely.
More women in politics. And I do feel politics are ugly. Okay. And we obviously, if you're not fully educated, it's easy to get lost in there. What would you say to a young woman that wants to be part of something like that and be part of change and become an activist, because that's not an easy job.
Right.
I watch you for and I'm like, I mean, guys, she got rubber bullets shot at her, like all around you, gas.
Yeah, tear gas. Yeah.
Tear gas. That's not an easy thing to do.
It can sometimes
Nobody
get
just
dangerous.
wake up and says, hey, I'm going to put myself in danger to fight for my brothers and sisters.
Right.
What would you say?
I would say politics are definitely ugly, but I think they're also necessary. Right?
So necessary evil.
Yeah, because policies are going to happen with or without our consent. So we might as well be a part of the process of helping to implement policies, to challenge and change policies and systems that are perpetuating oppression. So I think we should get involved. We should be at those tables. And as we've said before, if there's no seat at their table, you create your own table.
Create your own. Guys, you know, it's my favorite saying, right? We do not wait for anyone. Now, last year, October 2021, you won an award at the Black Business Ball, unbeknownst to you, because, guys, we had to trick her and tell her she was going to present an award to somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did that feel?
First of all, I still owe you one. Whoops for shocking me like that. I was not ready. I was not prepared. But once I realized that I was the recipient of the reward of the award, my jaw dropped. I was just at a loss for words.
And that
I was
speech.
overwhelmed. But I'm just so grateful to be honored amongst a group of business leaders and entrepreneurs and bootstrappers and people who have gone against the grain, you know, and to be supported in that way is just one of the most remarkable experiences that I've had. So I'm very grateful to you, your team, Black Business Enterprises, for your leadership, your trailblazing leadership.
Don't make me cry.
And your
y'all.
support.
That came from the keyboard. Did anybody record it? Gabe, did you record that?
No, seriously. I feel like I got my flowers, right? You know how they say, give people their flowers because you never know, right?
It's about time, because I'm not, I can't tell you the amount of people that reached out to us and said, if this woman is not being honored at this ball, I'm not coming. This actually happened. So, and that's what made us, you know, continue to reach out and say, we have to find her. So I'm so grateful that you took time out to come. Are you coming again this year?
Yes, I will definitely
Guys,
be
I'm on
there
her calendar.
this year. I'm so excited. October 1st, right?
October 1st.
And then, wait a minute now. You told me the theme was Coming to America. Y'all see this beautiful fan that Nancy made for me? So now I have to find something that goes with this so I can bring the fan. But isn't this beautiful? This woman has so
She's
many
advertising me,
talents. Seriously, y'all might see me up in church with this, okay? But yes, I do plan to be there, and I'm just grateful that you have the vision that you have to bring everybody together and to amplify people's leadership and economic opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much. This, you are just so amazing. I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be on a high after this, okay? Guys, I wasn't born an activist, okay? I will advertise you all day long. I'll talk about you. I'll share about your business. But what Nekima does, it is superhuman, if you ask me. I am scared. During the riots, I went there 1-2 days, and I was like, I don't want to die.
Right.
I want to be truthful.
I mean, seriously, because there were definitely some moments of danger.
My life flashed
for sure. People have serious irreparable injuries as a result of the aggression on the part of law enforcement.
I saw a picture of you with literally red eyes.
Yeah, after being tear gassed.
That's a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a lot. So I seriously commend you. You deserve more and more flowers, and not just ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, forever, because you inspire us. You remind us to keep going, and you remind us that if we don't fight for us,
who will?
Who will?
No one is showing up for us but us. And we have to own that and understand that and embrace our power. Right? It doesn't mean we're going to change everything, but you can change something.
Absolutely.
Right?
So how can we support your endeavors? How can we support you? Of course, share, guys. So Wayfinder.foundation. Wayfinder.foundation. Check it out. BlackPearlMN.com. Like I said, it's one of my favorite websites. check it out, guys. Share about it. And also anything that Nekima's doing, press conferences, I need you guys to share it. This is for the families of victims that have been murdered senselessly, and she's speaking out and standing out for us. Guys, I pray that nothing like this ever happens to you, but God forbid, she is always going to stand up. She's always going to stand up. So please share, support her, lift her up. Can we donate anywhere? What can we do?
I would say Wayfinder.Foundation is a great place to donate. Also, Racial Justice Network, which is a grassroots organization that I founded here. We do a lot of support for on-the-ground activists, emergency support for people. We host events.
Y'all.
So Racial Justice Network is another place to contribute. And I want to make sure that as we're having this conversation that we lift up the folks who people don't know, right, who do a lot of heavy lifting, who may run organizations as volunteers, who put their bodies on the lines, their lives on the lines. Black folks, non-black people of color, and also white allies and accomplices who do a lot of heavy lifting in order to keep the movement going forward. And I think that those folks, and I myself also understand, we stand on the shoulders of giants. Those who came before us, some of whose names we don't know, whose stories we don't know, but who paved the way for us to be here at this moment in time. The torch was handed to us. Now what are we going to do with it?
Shout out.
I'm going to run. I don't know what anybody else going to do, but I'm going to take that torch and run to the next level.
Oof. So you just came to give me, you see, look at this. Can y'all see this? She gave me goosebumps when she was talking. Yes, shout out to all the allies. I want to shout out Tracy Call at Media Bridge because she tirelessly calls me and asks me, what can I do for your community? I want more people like that. And she doesn't have to, y'all.
Right.
She doesn't
Yeah,
have
Tracy's
to.
phenomenal.
Oh, my God.
Remember her support of Mayan Burrell.
Yes.
For his 1 year, after his release from an unjust incarceration.
I want to see more of that. And I know it can be infectious. So shout out. And she's given up thousands of dollars to support Black organizations. I want this to be infectious. And she doesn't want it known. So she's going to be very mad at me for speaking on it.
But people need to know. They need to see examples, right, of who is doing the work and who is walking the talk. Right? Because how many companies said...
Oh, they pledged. Listen.
Right.
I actually just called out someone on NPR radio. Like, you said you were going to do this, but I didn't see any checks.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, absolutely.
So when we see it, we celebrate it.
Thank you to all of those that... it's a thankless job. Thank you so much for fighting for us, for volunteering, bringing water, food, preparing sandwiches, holding
even
hands,
milk and milk magnesia
over your face.
Yes.
Thank you to all of you. And Nekima, thank you to you. Any last word you want to use? By the way, this whole time I've been talking, there's like love coming up. There's questions popping out. I'm so sorry if I'm not reading y'all. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for showing up today for Nekima. And I expect you guys to go put out her website, okay? Wayfinder.Foundation. Put it out. Share about it. Tell people about it. Give a donation. Do you know how much $5 is times 3.6 million people? All right, make that math. So go do something. Let's not just talk about it. Don't spend it on Starbucks today. Let's give back, okay? Any last words?
Well, I just want to thank you again for your leadership. It makes a huge difference having someone with a strong business mindset who's not just looking out for yourself. You're looking out for the village.
We have
You're
to.
amplifying the village. You're promoting the village, and it makes a huge difference to the bottom line of our economy to have someone like you in the position that you're in. So I'm personally grateful to you, your staff, Lalandra, everyone who supports you and lifts you up so that you can continue just being the brilliant Black businesswoman that you are. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank everyone who took the time to tune in today, everyone who supports the movement for racial justice and who used their political and social and cultural capital to stand up and fight for those whose voices are not typically
Look at this,
being
guys.
heard.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I have to show her, guys, because I can see it. She can't. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I expect you guys keep supporting. That's all I ask for. Remember, that's free. Just keep supporting, share. And Nekima, God bless you.
Thank you, Nancy. I received that.
You,
I feel blessed. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
We are grateful, and I hope you come back.
I would love to come back.
Bring your husband, bring your kids. Come back.
I'm not bringing my kids, but I would love.
Said no to the children.
My 4-year-old Asada, they already know, is a handful and a half. I
That's
love
a
my
mini
baby,
you.
but yes, she's a fireball.
Oh my goodness.
But no, I would love to come back anytime.
We'll love that. Well, guys, that's our show tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember this, and I say this every episode, stay black, first of all. Be proud of yourself. Love on yourself. Love on others. And remember this. Do not give up on yourself. Do not give up on your business. I'm Nancy, and that's the show. Ciao. Music.